Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out in the rain. Welcome to our February 27th, 2024 Legislative of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance, flag, republic, God.
Council Member Mayor,
Present.
Council Member Manicchio,
Here.
Council Member Phil Sawil,
Here.
Council Member Waynes, Supervisor Feldman.
Present.
Departmental report, tax receiver Holly Plowski.
She'll be joining us on Zoom today.
Okay, Holly, we ready for you? When you're ready, we're ready. I think you're mute.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Jennifer, are you able to display the document that I sent to Martha?
It's on the screen right now.
Great, thanks so much. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Ollie.
I just wanted to update you. We had a very, very busy January, which is the collection month where we collect the second half of school taxes. And as you can see, we have now collected 98.1% of our school warrant for the 2023-2024 school tax warrant. We're up to 99.5% of our town and county. So overall, for our 2023 warrants, we have collected 98.4% of the outstanding warrants. I have sent out our delinquent letters as of February 15th, and people are certainly reacting to them and paying. The best that I can offer, it's always disturbing to me when people miss these payments just because they forgot. The best I can always offer everybody is to sign them up for our email, our email alert system, which works beautifully. We have over 3,700 people signed up for it, and it works very well. So 98.4%, I'm very happy with that. I think, as you know, I think our taxpayers are wonderful. A personal goal that I always have is to have collections in every category, meaning all the outstanding warrants, the 2023 town and county, the school, and also all the delinquent tax liens, which are coming down. We're down from where our 2023 liens were, over 40%, and payments come in regularly. You can see that we have 1.15 million in outstanding liens, and again, they're coming down regularly. We work it as a receivable portfolio, if you would, and we see activity in it all the time. We do have 7 active payment plans, and they're all performing according to our agreement. So, looking ahead, in the month of March, we begin to prepare our 2024 town and county bill, and all the elements that go into that, while continuing to collect on anything that's outstanding. So that's about it. Everything is stable. I always say that in tax collecting, as long as there's no one complaining, other than nobody likes to pay their taxes, and I live here and I understand that, but we get an enormous number of services for our taxes, and as long as people feel, and I hope so, because I really work hard on this, that people feel when they call our office, they get a response and that they get their questions answered. And even if it's something we can't answer ourselves, we work really hard to get an answer for them. So unless there are any other questions or comments,
I did want to say, I was approached by a taxpayer who was excited to have paid off his mortgage, but he really didn't understand how to pay his taxes on his own, and he didn't understand the payments, and he was really very nervous. He wasn't somebody who used email a lot. And I suggested that he call you, and he called back and said that you were wonderful and you walked him through the process. So I do want to tell everybody that, if you're at all confused about your tax bill, about payment plans, you've paid off your mortgage, now it's not rolled in anymore. You want to understand the easiest, most, efficient way to get that done. Holly and her team are always available, and do a wonderful job. And they got a really good report on helping that gentleman. So thank you very much, Holly. And as always, thank you for everything you do.
my pleasure, my pleasure.
Else have a question?
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Okay. Thank you, Holly.
Stay well, everybody.
Great, thank you, Holly. Supervisor and town board announcements.
Okay. All right. We would like to congratulate two officers, Adam Dubray and Diego Manco, who have been selected to receive the Top Cop Award from the Mid-Hudson Regional Stop DWI Council. We would like to give them our congratulations. The award ceremony will be later in the year. There is a traffic advisory from the Westchester County Department of Public Works effective immediately and extending until Friday, March 15th. There will be alternating lane closures on Pinesbridge Road from Brookside Lane to Shingle House Road in the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. for drainage improvements. That means a single lane on Pinesbridge at these times. There are two municipal volunteer opportunities available for Ossining residents to apply for. One is a position on the Ethics Board, and the other is for a seat on the Planning Board and Architectural Review Board. If you are interested, please send a resume and letter of interest to Martha in my office by 4:30 p.m. Friday, March 1st. Her email is mkwisaka@townofOssining.com. If you need help with your taxes, free assistance through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Program is available. For more information, check out my supervisor's update or call the United Way 211 helpline at 1-800-899-1479. The New York Presbyterian Hospital is holding a virtual event, Cardiovascular Health Disparities in the Black Community, on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Pre-registration is required. Please go to events.nyp.org. Also, Wednesday evening, you could see the documentary Black Wings, an NAACP film screening at 6:30 at the Ossining Public Library. And we hope that everyone gets a chance to see the amazing Black History Month exhibit, Black Presence, Profound Influence, at the Bethany Arts Community, curated by historian Joyce Chirac Cole. The exhibit runs through March 8th. This Saturday, March 2nd, Bethany Arts Community is hosting Two Truths and a Lie, an interactive storytelling experience at 7:30 p.m. This Saturday, March 2nd, Green Ossining is hosting their Repair Cafe at the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center, where you can get help fixing broken but beloved items for free. As always, our Ossining Public Library has a multitude of events, including Pokemon Club, Chess with Chavez, Mahjong, sewing workshops, and more. Please see their website at www.ossininglibrary.org for more information. The Ossining Youth Bureau is starting a program called Oh Yes, Ossining Youth Engaged in Success, a program that provides a safe environment that builds and strengthens skills to enhance academics and social emotional learning. For more information, call 914-941-3189. If you need help with your winter utility bills, please go to the New York State Department of Public Services, www.eps/ny.gov/winter. And lastly, if you know of someone who needs food and shelter, as we are in the winter days of this deep into winter, they should meet at the Ossining Open Door daily at 8 p.m. and look for a white van. The open door is located at 165 Main Street, and more information can be had by calling 914-645-14. Thank you. Any of my colleagues have any announcements? Okay, thank you. All right, any liaison reports?
Liaison reports? No? Okay. Public comments on agenda items.
Okay, if you would like to comment on any of the agenda items, are you doing a sign up or you can just come?
Yes, so you are allowed 1 minute, 4 minutes opportunity to speak in any of the items that are on the agenda. Please, when you come up, put your name and your address on the sheet that's in there. And please speak for 4 minutes. Thank you.
Up to.
1 4-minute opportunity.
I got it. Ready when you are. What? Good evening, Madam Supervisor and ladies and gentlemen of the board. Marissa Caruso, 2 Redway Road. It has been disappointing to sit and listen to our taxpayer-funded town council and consultant discuss this project in favor of the developer, while ignoring the many questions and concerns raised by this community and our legal counsel and engineer. Back in 2019, we were promised transparent and open dialogue about this project. To date, you have refused to answer the simple question of if this project is being treated by the town as a new project with a new application or a continuation and revision of the previous project under the old application. Next, neighbors have filed a protest petition and several letters from our legal counsel regarding this matter have gone ignored. Our town legal counsel has not been open and transparent with the public about the procedural requirements of the upcoming vote, selectively choosing only to discuss topics that favorably promote this project. We have come to this meeting tonight in the dark without any real understanding of the town's voting procedure or an explanation to the public on the validity of the protest petition. Before this board proceeds with the agenda item Local Law 1 of 2024 to rezone the Stony Lodge parcel, we ask town council to please advise the public on the town's position of the protest petition and explain to us and the applicant that the board must have 4 votes to approve this rezoning. Furthermore, a number of critical issues regarding procedural and environmental defects have been presented by our legal team and engineer. Our town council has conveniently neglected to publicly address the several procedural defects highlighted by our legal team. Furthermore, by now you have all received an engineer's report from Ralph Mastromonaco that thoroughly discusses significant environmental impacts. How in good conscience can this board allow a potential vote to take place this evening without consulting the town engineer or an independent engineer of your choosing to understand and or address the issues raised by engineer Mastromonaco? Finally, I'm at a loss to understand how the town is poised to draft, deliberate, and potentially vote on a local law for the purpose of rezoning a single parcel for a very specific project. This in itself highlights our argument of unlawful spot zoning. The town should take pause and consider these important matters before it adopts this local law and proceeds with any vote on this matter. It is in the best interest of the town to consult your own independent engineer on these very critical issues. And I hope your legal counsel is advising you appropriately in this regard. Thank you.
Please put your name down.
Yes. Good evening, Madam Supervisor, council members. My name is Michael Starvaggi. I'm with the firm of Blakely, Platt and Schmidt. We are located at one Blue Hill Plaza in Pearl River, New York, 10965. We represent the Santucci family in opposition to the project at Croton Dam Road. Over the course of the last several months, my client and members of the community have made it clear that this project is wrong for the town. But for some reason, the board seems to have chosen to ignore the public. I listened to the work session on February 6th and was dismayed to hear that not one of our concerns was raised during the discussion. This project has been bulldozed through the application process without regard for its multiple fatal flaws. And if approved, this board will be allowing the shoehorning of a multifamily project in a single-family neighborhood in violation of, inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan. As you've heard, Ms. Caruso mention, it's been frustrating to not have a response from the town's council or from the town regarding the validity of the protest petition. I've inquired about it multiple times and have received, characteristic of this entire process, absolutely no response. Most importantly, as referred to by Ms. Caruso, this board will be, if approving this project, this board will be allowing a clear instance of spot zoning, and my clients reserve their right to challenge that action in court. The fact that the proposed local law applies only and specifically to this project proves beyond any doubt that the town is engaging in spot zoning here. The proposed law states the MF zone does not apply to the property for anything other than the proposed project. In other words, the rezoning is done solely to accommodate one developer to the detriment of the surrounding community. That is the very definition of spot zoning. Also, even after the new zoning would apply, the project would still need multiple key variances to proceed. This is once again evidence that the project just doesn't fit. And it's evidence again of the fact that this is an instance of spot zoning. Finally, I'd like to point out that the board would be neglecting its duties to the town if it votes on this project tonight. As Ms. Caruso mentioned, I submitted a letter to the board on February 23rd with the attachment of 4 studies of the site conducted by engineer Ralph Mastromonaco. Those studies showed that the site plan is flawed in many important material respects and is also infeasible from an economic perspective. My understanding is that the town engineer has not reviewed any of the issues raised in Mr. Mastromonaco's studies. And at minimum, this board should table any action on the project until a thorough inquiry has been made into the concerns stated in Mr. Mastromonaco's studies. I petition this board to consider our comments in its deliberations. Thank you.
Madam Supervisor and members of the town board, my name is Melissa Mittag. I live at 9 Collier Drive here in Ossining. And I stand before you today deeply concerned about the proposed zoning amendment for the Stony Lodge, Croton Dam Road parcel. This proposal, seeking to transform an R15 single-family parcel into a multifamily zone, stands in stark contrast to the fabric of our community and the environmental integrity of Ossining. The sheer volume of opposition from our community is a testament to the unwavering commitment of Ossining's residents to preserve the character and environmental sanctity of our town. This proposed change not only violates the principles of lawful zoning, risking unlawful spot zoning, but it also contravenes the town of Ossining's comprehensive plan, which explicitly states that new development should not conflict with local identity. The independent analysis conducted by Ralph Mastromonaco EE reveals alarming environmental and structural concerns, including the necessity of blasting to excavate over 109,000 cubic yards of soil and rock, which would drastically alter the site's topography and potentially endanger surrounding areas through excessive excavation and questionable drainage proposals. This process is expected to take nearly 2 years, introducing a daily disruption of approximately 20 truckloads, leading to significant environmental disturbances. Moreover, the economic viability of this project is highly questionable, with the cost of preparing the site alone estimated at an astonishing $24 million, not accounting for the construction of the buildings themselves. This financial analysis underscores the project's impracticality, projecting a deficit that further emphasizes the unsustainability of the proposal. In light of these findings and of the overwhelming public opposition, I urge you to consider the long-term consequences of this rezoning proposal. The proposed amendment does not merely represent a change in land use, but signifies a departure from our community's values, environmental stewardship, and legal standards. Let us stand together to protect Ossining's identity, ensure the environmental integrity of our town, and uphold the principles of lawful and community-focused planning. I implore the board to reject any zoning amendment and to work towards a solution that aligns with the comprehensive vision and values of our community. Thank you for your consideration.
Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Steve Rudemeyer. I live at 56 First Avenue, right next to the proposed development. This is, I believe, the fifth meeting that I've attended, either virtually or in person, regarding this project. And throughout that, one thing has become completely clear to me, that this project has virtually no support from the members of this town. It's your duty as our elected officials to enforce the will of the people here, not the developers, not the pressures of New York State. I moved here 3 years ago. My wife and I started a family here in a single family neighborhood. My 2-year-old loves our neighborhood. And we've got 27 years left on our mortgage, so we're not going anywhere for a long time. Prove to me that you deserve your seats at the table. We want to be very involved in this town. We want to be long-standing members of this town. We love this town. Vote no on this rezoning proposal. Anything other than that would just be unfair to the members of Ossining. Show us and prove to us the system isn't broken and that you've been elected and you represent us as we wish you would do. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raymond Santucci. I reside at 29 Grandview Avenue, Ossining, New York. I believe you guys are up here because you're up here to represent us. That's why we elected you guys. You guys are Ossining. Represent us. Our legal counsel is supposed to be siding with us with what we're concerned with. I've never seen them reach out and actually talk to us about that. I'm not sure if they're allowed to. However, there's with the environmental impact that this will have if you cut that mountain down. You could just look to Mount Pleasant. They're having a similar issue. Toll Brothers built 29 houses and cut the entire top of a mountain down, and now all the neighbors are flooding. That will be Pershing Avenue. It's not right. It's wrong. It only benefits one person for one reason. It's not like he wants to live there and build himself a house. No one's against that. It's that he wants to make a large profit at our expense, and all our property values are going to go down, and it's just not right. And I don't think this project should go through. I think we need to keep the zone for what it is. And they mentioned that this is the only type of parcel like this, so it would be unique to this parcel. That's right. There's only one left. There's only one left to keep the character of that neighborhood. There's only one parcel left because you guys built on everything else. I also don't know if you guys looked at the engineering study by Ralph Mastromonaco. There's going to be a wall on the opposing side of where I live, the opposite side on the Narragansett side, that is over 35 feet tall and 3,000 linear feet. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I think we already saw a wall fall down that was similar to that in the village. So before people vote on things and try to pitch it, maybe they should understand what the actual implications are. If not, then maybe you're not qualified and you need to get an engineer out there and really see it. And that's all I have to say. And I hope that you guys vote with us in mind, because we are who pay those taxes. And we're paying to stay here. So I don't understand what the issue is. Thank you very much.
Hi, Madam Supervisor and members of the board. My name is Violet Benny, and I live at 221 Cedar Lane. I'm here because, well, first thing I'd like to know, do you check the Farmer's Almanac to see how bad the weather is going to be? Because these meetings always take place when it's freezing or pouring. And I commend you if you don't, because how this works out in your favor, I do not know, but kudos, you make it happen. So let's make something else happen. Let's realize that people like myself who lived here, I've lived here for 30 years, and I feel a little baited and switched. I moved here because I wanted trees and nature and beauty and privacy. And for the most part, that's what I've had. But lately, every time I turn around, there's another townhouse development going up. Now, if all these variances are allowed to happen, when do we get the letter in the mail that says our taxes, which are insane, are going down? Because I'm waiting for that letter. And I'm still waiting. I'm not holding my breath. I'd like to know, I'd like to make people aware of what went on Cedar Lane with the Sunshine Home, because that was something that was fought tooth and nail, and they won, and it is what it is, what it is, and life was going along just fine. And the other day, I drove by the Cedar Lane dog park / public gardens to notice that an entire bunch of trees were completely and totally chopped down on sloped property. I'm terrified to think of what they're going to put up there. It's horrible for the birds, and it took a beautiful park and made it considerably less beautiful. I want to know when we're going to get a variance to put in a park or a farm or something that creates nature as opposed to destroying it. That's all. Thank you.
My name is John Leslie, 121 Dale Avenue. And when I normally would come to these meetings, I would normally come to these meetings because my concern with this development is that the sewage pipe down the center of Dale Avenue, if it's able to handle the what would be the increased load, because we have had, and I actually had to have our sewer line cut off from the town access to that line. Ours goes down into the brook, not into the brook per se, but there is a sewer line down the center of the Kilbrook. And we had to link into it along with our adjacent neighbors. That was my big concern with this meeting. One time I had 18 5-gallon buckets of sewage in my basement. And I went to talk to the town court lawyers in White Plains just because we wanted our carpets in the cellar replaced, little mats. It didn't happen. So we backed off. Okay. But what perked me for this was when that gentleman talked about cutting the mountain off, increased flooding. Hurricane Floyd, we were the second worst house hit in the village, Trulios being the first. We had water out in the street this high. You know, the road collapsed. The Army with their Humvees were out there for 2 or 3 days and nights, camped out there because the little bridge over the Kilbrook had collapsed. I had water in my basement. I went down to go shut the electric off. Somebody said if I touched a pipe, I would have been zapped. I had 3 policemen had to carry my son, Jason, on their backs while I'm pushing the guy. Slates are banging into my knees to get him up to high ground at my neighbors to stay there. My wife camped in our house, barricaded by what sandbags we could, praying to God on our knees. When I hear the potential flooding for this, we're at our wits' end. The village, the person up at the Rodriguez Center, he knows our plight. He's promised there's something in the mix that they're looking into. But we can't take that anymore. But this scares me to death when I hear there's more increased flooding potential. We tried to build a wall in front of our house. We're somewhat successful, but we're getting older. We can't keep building a wall and coming out and sandbagging, carrying cement blocks and pushing it down further towards Mazzacone and further down the street. It shouldn't have to be like that, but that's the way we've been living since, well, even before I lived there when my wife had the family there. But my experience from 1980 and then the Hurricane Floyd, which I know was a superstorm, but it happens even without a superstorm. Something's got to be done. If this is going to exacerbate it, I'm not in favor of that. I wouldn't want it anyway because of all the reasons that these people are talking about. Just being average citizens there. There was a lot of emotion at the last time it was at the Caputo Center, this meeting on this stuff. If that's where it was, because I've been to a number of meetings on developments around the community in our area. Maybe the weather's not bringing everybody out, but we're very passionate there. Thank you.
We have to sign this thing or something? I can't believe I'm seeing this again. It's the same thing in this town, always. And watching hearings. First of all, I'm sorry for
Please
my
say your name
appearance.
and
My
address.
name is Don DeBar. I live at 87 Ferris Place in Austin, New York. Okay. I excuse my appearance, first of all. I only found out about this meeting today. To me, that's an indication of the kind of outreach that you do with this board. It's the same as what we've seen for 30 years here. You're not interested in having people come to these meetings. You sure know how to get them to fundraisers and a lot of the happy talk stuff that goes on in town. Where the material stuff happens, you try to do it as far out of view as you can. And the town wears that as a result. You can walk around this place. They spoke about the wall on the old Elks Club property, for example, where you have maybe the world's largest houseboat waiting to enter the Hudson River. You know, that one of the things that supposedly is an advantage to have in a democratic society is that the governing of the society can draw upon the collective intelligence of the population, that the people themselves, because they're governing, know and see the results of governing and the things that are going to be the subject of governance. That means this guy here knows that brook floods, and that's part of the process. right? They know this wall isn't going to hold that because we've seen that hill wash down for 100 years. That's part of the process. When things are run the way they're run here, what happens is they build it anyway, like they did off of Hamilton Avenue with that site that they stripped and washed into Hunter Street, like is happening with that building on the Elks property, and like you're doing here now. Has anyone made an inquiry in this day and age of opening up marijuana stores around town, where we're coming out of this COVID thing, and just generally the way our children with these little boxes are being socialized almost to an atomic level away from each other, where more people use psychoactive drugs, alcohol, and other things, and there are all kinds of mental health problems record for the world here in the United States. The only psychiatric facility in this town, this property, we're going to lose. It's irretrievable once this is developed. Has anyone raised that question? This is what I'm saying. These projects are transaction driven. People come to town to make money here, and people see that there's money to be made, and they get done, and they don't give a goddamn about the people here. There's only one answer to that. This is for these people and everyone else watching this. When this gets voted in, you all have to get voted out, good, bad, or indifferent. The next person watching has to see that lesson, and it has to happen over and over and over. No matter how bad the next one is, like we did with Perillo, doesn't matter. We should have made that lesson stick, because you guys would either then have learned it or somebody else would be sitting there. And the next time, if you approve this, somebody will be sitting there. If I have to spend the next 2 years doing it. Thank you.
Hi, Town Supervisor and Board. I'm Kim Jeffrey. And I just came to say, my address, 100B Morningside Drive. I came to say that I've had a saying when I was on the board and even now, that if it is not a moral issue or a safety issue, then you listen to the constituents. Constituents have been here for years, whether it be at the planning board, whether it be here at the town board. They have stated there's no reason to change the zoning. You don't have to change the zoning for anybody, especially for a particular developer. There's absolutely going to be consequences in terms of other developers coming and asking for same in other properties that are close. Want to know how we got here with a whole lot of condos? This is that slope. You've seen it. You know what it looks like. We shouldn't perpetuate it. And we should be listening to the residents of this town. I've told you over and over again, there's no reason to change the zoning. So, not a moral issue, not a safety issue in which you would have to. So I hope you vote no.
Good evening, members of the town board, consultants, staff. My name is Wayne Spector, and I am the attorney for the applicant here. And I stand here today because there are some issues that need to be responded to. And this has been a very long process, and I appreciate everything that this board and other boards and the town boards previous who have heard this about this project, and the planning boards have done, and the consultants as well. You're standing here today, you're sitting here today actually, and you've heard from a lot of people, obviously, who claim to represent the will of the people. Obviously, you represent the will of the 30,000 plus, I believe, occupants of the town of Ossining, and we appreciate that. It's a very hard job, and we know that. It's a representative government, and you're making decisions that will affect the entire town. Now, I do want to address a few points, and I apologize if I'm a little bit lengthy, but obviously, I think we deserve a little bit of a chance too. Well,
quick.
all right, okay, I'll ask if you can, and you'll decide. First of all, the letter that was received this week from council, literally the 23rd, I would say that it's improper and in many ways, I don't think it should be considered by this board. This board has closed the public comments period of time. This has been going on for 9 years. On this project alone, through the seeker process before the various boards, the planning board, this board has extended itself through many public hearings, and the public has had numerous opportunities to submit anything they wish, speak. You get a letter on the 23rd from council with an engineer's report that nobody's ever seen before, nobody could respond to. You know, I would just say that it's, you know, that it's improper to receive it, to consider it. It's improper to send it. And it's unfair in many ways. Obviously, engineers understand that engineers are paid for. I've done trial work as well, and I know that any expert who gets up, the first question they ask is who you're working for and how much you're being paid. I'm not going to say that right now. I just need the board to consider and be respectful and ask the right questions when it comes to considering any information provided to this board. I find it very, very interesting as well that the arguments that are made are that the project is economically unviable, where at the same time, there are many people who have stated to this board that they object because they don't want a developer making money. It's either one or the other. I credit your town council for drafting a resolution which actually reflects the concerns that have been raised, which states, and the concerns were that, well, if we rezone, how do we know that this is going to be built? Well, that is included in the resolution and in the proposed local law. It's a safeguard. In some ways, it's a poison pill in some ways, because if this project doesn't get built or approved, rezoning reverts. Now, I have a very short time, obviously, but I want to remind this board that consultants have reviewed everything. Your consultants, this has been before the planning board for a considerable period of time. There was a previous rendition of this plan. It was changed as a result of requests that were made and concerns that were raised by members of the public at the time and the board and staff. It was redrafted, it was prepared and it was done with, encouraged by the board to come back with this type of plan. There have been memos, there's finding statements that were prepared by your consultants. You have one of the best planning consultants, I believe, in the county, who is actually, I think, president of the Westchester Planning Federation as well. It's been reviewed. Council, experienced people who in land use have reviewed everything. Planning board has reviewed everything. They've issued their finding statements. Memos have been drafted after the public hearings here, which addressed everything. This has been as thorough a process over many, many years as you could ask for in review. You know, we are talking about a proposal, you know, which to keep a property as residential property, to keep it on the tax rolls, and which will actually represent a consistency because it's residential in a residential area. And obviously, you know, there are other options out there that could happen if possible.
Thank you so much. Time is up. Thank you.
Well, thank you for hearing us, and I appreciate it.
Advisor, Town Council, Jenny Laughlin, 9 Ryder Road. Many people have already spoken about the impact of on the immediately surrounding community of this project, the perils of spot zoning, the need for further variances in order to accommodate the proposed plan, the impact on traffic in this part of Ossining, which is of particular interest to me, since I imagine most of the traffic will go past my front door as they get to 9A. I share all those concerns. And the questions that come to my mind are these. Why would you consider pursuing this plan despite 8 years of residents speaking out in opposition to this rezoning? How do you reconcile the draft presented tonight with your comprehensive plan, in particular the statement that you intend to protect residential areas and gradually eliminate non-conforming uses? This doesn't provide any housing inventory that I'm aware of that Ossining needs. It burdens those who already live in this community with years of disruption and an irreversible change in their neighborhood. What is the benefit to us as residents, to us as your constituents? Sell me on it, because I don't get it. And if you can't do that, then you should vote no. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak?
Hi, Glenn Vetromile, the developer. Been before you for 9 years.
Address,
Excuse me,
address,
pardon?
address.
Oh, I live in Bronxville, New York, 100 Brookfield Road, Bronxville. Yes, we've been at this for almost a decade. We came to you with a multifamily proposal in 2015. And then through many iterations, smaller and larger, at your recommendation, you wanted a seniors oriented project and one that was smaller. So we came back to you with a project half the size. We've gone through draft environmental impact statements, supplemental impact statements, draft final impact statements, final impact statements. I have a stack of EIS documents this big. We've paid your consultants. You have quality planning consultants, traffic consultants, third-party traffic consultants, and also legal consulting and fiscal consultants that have looked at all of what we've submitted, completely standalone from what we've done and advised you. And their responses are part of the record, the very, very large record. We have gone and submitted to you an age-restricted townhouse project. There is nothing in this township or really in this region like it. The ones that have come to the market have been extremely successful. They cater to empty nesters, people whose children are up and out and want a smaller residence, one that has the exterior managed by the organization, the association, so all the exterior is maintained by an association and they can use their time for hobbies, meeting with friends and family, and travel. There is a major housing shortage in Westchester, the state, New York City, and that's been exacerbated by COVID. And what that has done is it's pushed the values of housing up. In the past 3+ years, housing prices have gone up 25 to 30%. Just in the past year, Westchester County prices have gone up 6%. So unless there's additional inventory, you can assume that prices will continue to rise and be out of reach of people. And there have been people from the Santucci clan that have said, well, we should do single family homes. Well, I can tell you a single family home would be further out of reach of those people. We would not recommend that. And single family homes generate school children, and single family homes are tax negative, meaning that the children that are required to be educated, typically 2 kids, outweigh the taxes that are thrown off by those units. So they're highly tax negative. They also are highly traffic generators. We've gotten many calls from people from the town that want this product. They wonder when it's going to be delivered. We have gotten calls from widowers that want this product. So the product we're talking about are townhouses, two bedroom and 3-bedroom townhouses that are open plan. They have a den and the opportunity to put in a second office. These empty nesters are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 90s even. And they are semi-retired typically, but still are busy in some kind of opportunity.
Time is up.
You don't want to hear more?
I understand the target audience.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's James May. I'm a resident at 61 Narragansett Avenue. I forget what meeting it was where Mr. Vetromile joked about building a golden temple on this property. You remember that one? I think he was talking about a trip to Kyoto. And seeing him here tonight smirking through this, while we have real concerns, while the Golden Temple is our own democracy, our representatives who we voted in or vote out, depending on this, because this has turned me into a single issue voter in this town. And I've worked hard going door to door for this. I'll work hard for the next step too then. The Golden Temple isn't for him. It's our neighborhood. It's our families, and it's the connections we have. Not someone who just said his address, which was out of town. It's for us who are here in Ossining. Please do the right thing.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Is anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? Please raise the virtual hand and then we can allow them to talk.
So we're going to be bringing in Heidi Burns. Just give me 1 second to make you into a panelist. Okay, Miss Heidi, we're ready for you.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I live on First Avenue on the dead end. I am going to be 60 years old. I've watched this neighborhood, the older folks that are older than myself, moving out of Ossining, moving out of Westchester County and out of New York in general, simply because as a retired person, it's ultimately impossible. They don't want to do work in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe 90s. And speaking to the older people not having school-age children, I have 3 in my house, 2 of which are in Park. One is in Park and one is in Brookside. And when I stand at that bus stop with those children every morning, I am not joking when I say there is close to 17 children, if not more, getting on various buses. And it's too much. I've been here for 32 years. I've watched things come and go. I think it's really unreasonable to break down the aesthetics of the neighborhood. I'm also a little bit of a tree hugger, so I'm concerned of the wildlife that reside there. And I'll keep it short. My grandchildren and I were having dinner, and when I told them about this meeting, my 6-year-old said to me, "What are they doing? This earth doesn't belong to them. It belongs to me and my children." And that made me think, how is this going to affect any green space in Ossining or anywhere for that matter? Out of the mouths of babes, maybe we can learn something. And I beg you, please, because I'll move. I mean, I'll move. But the point is, some people can't. Some people don't want to. I don't want to, but I don't want my quality of life to be interrupted by 2 years of blasting, cutting down trees, misplacing the animals, people, trucks. It's a very emotional issue for those who don't live in the area. I don't think they really have much to say about it unless they would like to come and sit in my backyard on a summer night, which is 4 houses from the dead end, and listen to this. And then the goings on of whatever gets put up there. I hope it happens in your backyard, sir. And I'm grateful to the board for listening to me. And I really, really beg you to please do the right thing here. Keep it as it should be. And I just totally disagree with the family homes, single families being a problem. I think that's ridiculous. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And that's pretty much it. I think we've been fighting this a long time and we're all getting a little tired and a little scared, and I don't want to see it happen. for my grandchildren. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Next up is Katie Alberte. Give me 1 second.
Hi, my name is Catherine or Katie Alberti. I live at 47 Lee Avenue, which is about 100 yards and well downhill from the Stony Lodge property. And I've thought about and can watch the progress of this proposal as it progressed with mixed feelings. I'm a retired architect and I'm interested in new types of housing and what could happen on that property. But it's such a unique place. And while what's being described as the type of development in abstract is a great idea, on that property, it's not. I can't tell you what would be, but I do know that having to go through blasting and having drainage problems is really not good for the neighborhood. I wish I could say something a little more eloquent, except that I think there've been some really, really passionate and well-developed arguments expressed by my neighbors. And I urge the board to listen to us and vote against rezoning this property. Thank you.
Okay, the next person up is Dennis.
Dennis, you up?
Hello? Hello?
You have to speak.
Denise, can
Hello?
you hear us?
I can.
Okay, we can
Can-
hear you.
can
Please
you
give
hear
your
me?
name and address.
Denise Mata, 5 Mancuso Drive.
Thank you.
I wish I could be there in person, but I got stuck behind an accident in this horrible weather. So I'm driving at the moment, which shows you how important this is to me. And I had a lot of things planned to say, but after listening to the developer speak, the first thing I want to say is I'm a widower 9 years, and I can guarantee you and assure you he has not received any phone calls from me. How dare he use something like that to try and get the votes of that board? And if anyone listens to that man stand there with the address in Bronxville and not Ossining and let him tell you that widowers are calling him, that is horrible, absolutely horrible. I have 2 children that are going into Ossining High School next year, and I'm also going to be 55. So not every 55-year-old person does not have children in the school system. I brought my parents up here because they loved it from Brooklyn. And within a year of living at the Woods condominium, they had to deal with Park Knowles. And now they're living with this. Enough is enough is enough. Say no. Listen to the people. That's all that matters. Thank you.
Next up is Kelly Lavelle.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm Kelly Lavelle. I live at 26 First Avenue, and it's an atrocity what this planning and development and zoning will do, not only to this neighborhood, but continue to do to Ossining. And the fact that people have to beg the voted board is it's not only embarrassing, but it's outrageous that it's been going on. This conversation has been going on for 10 years and it's even still on the table on any level of development, not even talking about the ecosystems, the traffic, the overload of water that's already happening right down the street on Croton Dam Road. And the fact that we can't even pull it together with any kind of pipelines happening right there, the flooding that's just recently happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you might really want to consider listening to people who have something to say about this and the information that's coming, because it just makes you look foolish. And with respect, I know it's probably a volunteered position that you are doing and listening to, but it's really awful to hear and to see that people in Ossining do not listen to the civilians and the people that live here at all. These are my neighbors, these are my friends, and the fact that they have to beg for anything to be heard and seen just goes to show exactly what we've been dealing with over and over and over again with so many things on so many levels in life. So I'm not going to beg you to take into consideration, but I'm definitely going to be hitting the polls again and again and again for all of us to be heard.
Hello, Kelly, we lost you.
I finished. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is anybody else that would like to speak on our Zoom platform? For resolutions. Approval of minutes, February 13, 2024. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Ossining hereby approves the February 13, 2024 minutes of the regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 27, 2024 in the amount of $357,697 and 26 cents. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Environmental Advisory Committee resignation. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Ossining hereby accept with regret the resignation of James Nolan from the Environmental Advisory Committee effective February 22, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
By the
Agreement.
way, just let me say that James has served for many years on our Environmental Advisory Council. He's been a really great asset to the community, and a great volunteer, and we will miss him. And we thank him for his service.
Agreement, CSG Forte Payments, Inc. Be resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with GSG Forte Payments, Inc. effective February 16, 2024 related to the town's electronic collection of real property taxes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agreement, AI Engineering, Stolf Rolfan Engineering Division. Be resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with AI Engineering Stolf Rothfeld Engineering Division dated February 1st, 2024 related to existing draining condition and potential draining improvements on North State Road. Do I have a motion?
So moved. And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution, tax sharing settlement, Tappan Arms, Inc. Be resolved that the recommendation of the town assessor and the town special counsel in finding it to be the best interest of the town board approved the settlement of the tax sharing proceeding pending as Tappan Arms, Inc. versus Town of Ossining, Westchester County Supreme Court numbers 65480 of 2018, 65182 of 2019, 604A of 2020, 65123 of 2021, 66574 of 2022, and 69115 of 2023 for the property located at 35 Morningside Drive, section 94, 1166, and set 4 of the proposed consent judgment with the refunds issued by the town in the amount of $8,529.72. And before the resolve that the town supervisor, town assessor, town receiver of taxes, town controller, town tax attorney, and other relevant staffs are authorized to take it necessary and appropriate action to execute, file, process, and make payments on the aforementioned settlement. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorized to bid Cedar Lanes Art Center roof replacements. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby authorizes the insurance of a request for bids for the Cedar Lane Art Center roof replacement in 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorized request for proposal upgrade the Louis Angel Waterfront Park performance space. Resolved that the town board of town of Austin hereby authorizes the insurance of a request for proposal of upgrading the Louis Angel Waterfront Park performance space in 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorized request for qualification wetlands and landscape consultant. Resolved that the town board of town of Austin hereby authorizes the insurance of request for qualifications for a wetlands and landscape consultant in 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All
Thank
in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Resolution Local Law Number 1 of 2024, 40 Croton Dam Road zoning petition. Whereas by petition dated November 7, 2023, Stony Lodge Hospital Incorporated, the owner of the 17.89 acre property located at 40 Croton Dam Road in the unincorporated town of Austining, the property, submitted a petition to the town board seeking to rezone the property from the R15 zoning district to the MF zoning district, the zoning petition. And whereas the property was formerly the Stony Lodge Hospital, which operated a child and adolescent psychiatric hospital as a legal non-conforming use until it ceased operations in or about 2012. And whereas the zoning petition relates to the proposed multifamily residential redevelopment of the property that has been before the town since 2014. And whereas the Town of Austining Planning Board has served as a lead agency pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, for a coordinated review of the proposed redevelopment. And whereas the initial proposal was for 188 unit multifamily rental development in one building, which resulted in environmental concerns being raised by the town board and the public, particularly related to traffic, impacts on the school district for increased enrollment, and zoning impacts because the 188 unit proposal contemplated the creation of a new MF2 zoning district that could potentially be applied to other parcels in the town. And whereas after the planning board held a public hearing on the draft environmental impact statement DEIS for the 188 unit proposal and the applicant's authorized representatives began preparing the final environmental impact statement in 2020, the project was redesigned to address these environmental concerns by proposing a 96 unit townhome condominium development that would be age restricted to 55 and over under the Federal Housing for Older Persons Act, and would implement the town's existing MF zoning district that has already been applied to other larger parcels in the town, thus eliminating the request for the town to create a new multifamily zoning district, the proposed project. And whereas pursuant to the town code, the proposed project must provide 10 below market housing units at a rate of 60% of area median income, a substantial reduction in price that will create an additional affordable housing not generally available in the town. And whereas the planning board acquired a new scoping process for the supplement environmental impact statement for the proposed project. And whereas the applicant's authorized representatives prepared a supplemental draft environmental impact statement, SDEIS, which was the subject of a public hearing for the planning board to receive public comments, and the town board also held work sessions in the summer of 2022 to discuss the SDEIS and provided comments to the planning board based upon these discussions. And whereas the SDEIS explored a range of alternatives and concluded the proposed project would result in less potential environmental impacts to the traffic, wetlands, steep slopes, open space, schools, and site disturbance than if the property was developed with single-family residential homes. And whereas the comments of the SDEIS were responded to the supplemental final environmental impact statement FSEIS, which included revised plans, including reducing the heights of the building and the retaining walls, increasing the setbacks from neighboring property lines, installing landscaping between the retaining walls, spreading the 10 below market rate units throughout the development, and providing a greater range of price point to the market rate units with an addition of 20 stacker units. And whereas the planning board adopted the SFEIS as its August 16, 2023 meeting, and whereas the applicant's authorized representative attended a town board work session on September 19, 2023 to discuss the proposed project. And whereas at its October 18, 2023 meeting, the planning board adopted the secret finding statement, which allows the town board to consider the zoning petition. And whereas the finding statement noted that currently the property generates $75,628 to the townwide unincorporated town ambulance district, refuse light fire townwide water districts, Austining School District, and library taxes. And while the proposed project is not anticipated to have significant impacts on these services, particularly schools, since the development will be age restricted and will not allow anyone under 19 to live there full time, the proposed project will generate approximately $875,722 in taxes, resulting in an annual net increase in the revenue to the town's taxing jurisdiction of $800,094. And whereas the zoning petition was referred to the Westchester County Planning Board pursuant to General Municipal Law Statute 239-1-M and -N, and the Commission of the Westchester County Planning Board provided a response dated December 11, 2023, stating the concept of redeveloping a former hospital site with a new multifamily housing is generally consistent with the County Planning Board's long-range planning policies, but raised concerns about the age restriction of the units. And whereas the town board cannot modify the age restriction on the units because the planning board considered that as part of the secret review and determining there will not be any adverse impacts to the school district on the proposed project, and the impacts on the school district were one of the primary concerns the town board had in 2019, that resulted in the design being changed to an age-restricted development. And whereas the state is incentivizing the creation of housing and has advised municipalities may not be eligible for certain grants if they do not provide additional housing at certain levels on a regular basis. And whereas the proposed project is consistent with the comprehensive plan in that one, it will include water system improvements that will further improve the function and reliability of water systems in the vicinity of the property. 2, it will provide a range of housing that is diverse in both type and affordability. 3, it would be designed to meet or exceed the New York State Energy Conservation Code. 4, it will improve walkability in the area by creating an emergency access roadway that pedestrians and cyclists can use. And 5, it will bring the property into greater conformity with the residential neighborhood by 1, constructing structures at a height that align with the adjacent properties. 2, constructing a residential development at a density that's comparable to the lot sizes of neighboring village parcels. And 3, bringing the unique property, which is much larger in size than the neighboring parcels, back to residential use, where it has historically been used for hospital purposes. And whereas as a protest petition was submitted on November 28, 2023 by Valeria Santucci, Michaela Santucci, Yellow Cove Court, Valerie Skemmer, Luis Rinaldi, Maria Rosa, Tony Santucci, Raymond Santucci, and Ashley Santucci protest petition under Town Law Statute 265, which law requires that if the petition is validly signed by the owners of the 120% or more of the area land immediately adjacent to the property extending 100 feet, or 2, 20% or more of the area of land directly opposite the property extending 100 feet from the street frontage opposite the property, then the adoption of the zoning amendment would require a supermajority vote. And whereas, if necessary, based upon the vote of this resolution, the town board will address the protest petition at a subsequent meeting. And whereas, the town board members conducted site visits to familiarize themselves with the property and the proposed project. And whereas, the town board held 3 public hearings on the zoning petition on November 28, 2023, December 12, 2023, and January 9, 2024, during which time the town board also received written comments and members of the public having the opportunity to attend and be heard. The public hearing was closed on January 9, 2024. And whereas, at the town board's request, the town board's attorney and the town's planner prepared a memorandum dated December 8, 2023, and attended a town board work session on February 6, 2024, to address the comments raised during the public hearing period based upon the planning board's review and determinations during the SCQRA process. And whereas, said local law to adopt the zoning petition has been on the desk of the members of the town board for at least 7 days, exclusive of Sunday, prior to the adoption of this resolution. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby adopts the finding statements adopted by the planning board on October 18, 2023 in its entirety. And be it further resolved, the town board hereby adopts local law number 1 of 2024, subject to the following. The EMF zone shall only be applied to the property for the proposed project as set 4th and the SFEIS adopted by the planning board in August 16, 2023, and the finding statement adopted by the planning board on October 18, 2023, and adopted by the town board as part of this resolution. The zoning map shall be amended concurrently with the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy by the building inspector for the proposed project. The MFM zone does not apply to the property for anything other than the proposed project, which went through a comprehensive secret review process based upon the proposed project, and which is what allows the town board to legally take action on this application. If the proposed project does not go forward, the property will remain R-15. The applicant shall record a declaration against the property with the Westchester County Clerk in a form satisfactory to the town's attorney, designating the 10 units as below market rate in accordance with the town code. In addition to complying with the requirements of HOPA, the applicant shall record a declaration against the property with the Westchester County Clerk in a form satisfactory to the town's attorney that in perpetuity this townhome unit will not be sold to anyone who is under the age of 55. Be it further resolved, the town clerk is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting into the local law book of the town of Ossining, to publish said minutes in a newspaper published in the town, if any, or in such newspaper published in the county in which such town may be located having circulation in such town, and affidavits of said publication shall be filed with the town clerk, and to file a copy of said local law with the Secretary of State of New York.
Is Do I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, any comments?
no comments. Okay. All right, I have been looking at this project. I am the only one on the board that has been here for most of it. It was not proposed when I was here. It was maybe a year old. The prior board that I was on was in favor of the 188 unit. Very tall building that would have been taller than Maryknoll. And we, as a board, listened to the public and asked the developer we turned down the developer's proposal of 188 units and very tall buildings that our community would look up on. We asked him to lower it. We asked him to cut the number of units in half. I personally asked him to cut the number of units in half. And how I got to the number of under 100 was by taking the zoning parcels in the village area, which is 1/8 acre parcels, and applying it to the 18 acres of property, leaving room for buffers and roads. And that's how I got to the number. And I felt that I would never vote for anything that wasn't under 100 units and had no children in the schools. It had to be senior restricted. And I never thought he'd meet me. I'll tell you, I never thought he'd meet me. But he came back with a redesigned proposal within those parameters. I don't know which wall the engineer is looking at or which concept this new report is looking at. And I don't know why it wasn't given, during the 5 years that this plan was being looked at, or even during our comment period. But the 30-foot walls that were in one of the iterations have already been addressed. They are 6-foot tiered walls now. The drainage has been looked at, along with almost everything that each of you has asked about. This is an 18-acre property. For reference, Harbor Square is 188 units on 2 acres. This is 18 acres with 95 units. The lot size is similar to the First Avenue, Second Avenue area. The house size goes from the smaller units, which are more similar to the area of First and Second Avenue, all the way up to the size of the townhouse, the town area of the larger houses. I believe it's a good no, not a good proposal. A good compromise on how to transition from the smaller area to the larger area. I think this area is going to be something. The state is putting a lot of pressure for a lot of different kinds of development, a lot of very high density development. We're getting a lot of pushback from both the state and the county for having 0% growth in the last 3 years. We don't qualify for some of the grants already. Not that that means that I should approve a project that doesn't fit, but I do believe that this project is a good compromise for this area. I know that the stormwater is looked at, will continue to be looked at. I have heard from many people that are both on the border of the property and in the neighborhoods that are intimidated by the people who are so passionately against it, but really want this project. And I have heard from other seniors that really want somewhere to be able to age in place in our community. They're not here, you're a little intimidating. I got to admit it. This applicant is not asking for a pilot. It's over 800,000 or approximately $800,000 increased revenue that will help our tax base. That is not going to big services. And and they're providing more benefits to the community and some water infrastructure. Anyway, I believe that, as much as I'm not in favor of taking down empty spaces, this is not a forest or a green space. This is an abandoned mental institution with decaying buildings that is going to be repurposed in one way or the other. And I do believe that this is a project that will benefit our community and a project that will cause the least amount of kids in our schools and disruption. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Anyone else like to talk before the vote? No? Okay.
I will.
Okay, go ahead.
Some of you in this room know me. Most of you do not. My background is I was an investigator for 25 years of my career. And as a result of that, when I form an opinion, I conduct research and I conduct interviews. And that is the way I approach this project. I knew about all the people that were upset about it. There is a small silent majority that is in favor of it, but they are silent. And I was aware of all of the procedures that have gone on before I was on this board. As part of my investigation, I decided to go outside of talking to the people that are in this room. And I spoke to real estate agents because what I wanted to know is this going to be a viable property? Are these units going to be sold? Because as someone mentioned, I happen to live across the street from Parth Knoll, and those two buildings were built, and one of those two buildings remains majority empty. Now, I happen to live in a multifamily zone. I live in the Woods townhouses. I would not be able to live in Ossining or afford to live in Ossining without living in a townhome. Those, as far as I'm concerned, are affordable housing for my family. In any case, so when I spoke to real estate agents and some other people that I would consider expert in this situation, most of them had responded that the design of these townhomes were not a good idea. They were not a good idea for the age group that was being built, and that comparatively to other townhome developments that were of a, want to call a luxury nature, they were not going to be ones that were going to be sought after. One of the things that I compared it to is if anyone is familiar with Heritage Hills, which is a 55 and older townhome development in Somers. And I have to tell you, if this development was going to be modeled after Heritage Hills, I would be voting for it. However, it is not. And on top of all the interviews and information that I gathered on my own, I did take into consideration everybody's passionate views that have been expressed. And I have to tell you that, you know, some of the things that you guys are saying are valid. Some of them are misinformed. But I will tell you that you cannot stop development. People are coming up here from the city. They are looking for places to live. And again, that's another reason why I don't think the design of this development is what is driving the interest to move up to Westchester, let alone Ossining. There are some other comments that I collected. Some people, some real estate agents describe that because of the vertical nature of this development, you're losing living and dining room spaces, and that is the spaces that people of an older nature are looking for. They're not looking for larger bedrooms. They're not looking for office space. Also, the fact that some of the entrances of these buildings are on a lower level and not a ground level does not really work for older citizens. They have to walk up an extra set of stairs in order to get to their kitchen. And some other comments were, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that. So unfortunately, I can't support this project, but I would like to, because the housing market is very small. I just don't think that the design of this project is really what belongs in this space in Ossining. But I just want to remind some of you, those of you that are expecting nothing to happen with this property at all, that's misinformed. And we cannot make it a park. The town cannot afford to purchase this property. And the buildings that are on there, because Mr. Vetrimal was very nice and gave us a tour of the property, those buildings are dilapidated. They cannot be rehabbed. It's just not going to happen. So I hope that all of you understand that while your concerns are valid, you have to really take into account the situation in total. That's it.
I did want to add that, all of the concerns that people have about stormwater and all of the building issues and all of the things in the engineering report, these are all things that will be looked at the site plan. This isn't a, hey, go ahead and do it now. This is a simple step in the process. There is a very in-depth site plan review on each and every material, each and every slope, each and every wall, that will be constructed, and each and every plant that will go in, and an in-depth exploration of the stormwater and its effectiveness, which we're also doing throughout the town. So I'd like to allay those fears. Okay. Anything else?
Can I go?
Yes.
All right. So just to go back on what the supervisor is saying and Councilperson Twill, they both had great points. And like I said, I accommodate the staff, the consultants we had, and all the hard work went into this on both sides. It's just that for me, not going to go into all this stuff. I agree with both of you on certain things, but just right now, there's not enough for me to say yes for this project with the stuff that I've seen. So I'm going to be a no.
Okay, well, we're gonna vote in a second. but yeah. Okay. Good. All right, roll call.
Okay. Roll call. Council Member Meyer,
I vote aye.
Council Member Wines,
I vote aye.
Supervisor Feldman,
Aye.
Council Member Phil Sawil,
Nay.
Council Member Manicchio.
Nay.
Thank you.
So the next step in the process is, as stated, there is a protest petition. We are going to let the legal team take a look at that, and we will be deciding on that at our next meeting.
Correspondence to be received and filed. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Austining hereby accepts the following correspondence. Architectural Review for 11 Narragansett Avenue, Resolution, October 18, 2023. Planning Board Minutes, September 20, 2023. Planning Board Minutes, October 18, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Visitor
Okay.
recognition, 1 for minutes to speak, and items not related to the agenda. Ready?
Just please note that it's not related to.
Sorry.
When you have a protest petition like this, and now the board will deliberate with council, this as an example, but just in general. And say you have a vote of that's shy of the supermajority, and so the question of the validity of the petition is before council. It is up to the board, of course, to take the advice of council or to proceed on either one track or another, litigate it or accept it as valid. Will there be a public vote on such a question? That's all I wanted to know.
Yes.
Is anybody on Zoom that would like to speak in any item not related to the agenda? Please raise your hand. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the session to executive session, advice of council and personnel?
So moved. In a second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I do want to thank each and every one of you for coming today. Please get home safe in the rain. And our next meeting will be our work session on, oh, where are we? February 5th. And our next legislative session will be February 12th. March 12th. Thank you. March 5th and March 12th.